Hey, all you holistic hipsters out there, it's that time. So grab your chalice of choice and sit back and sip along with us. We would love to welcome you to the Tea Podcast, where we spill the tea on all things holistic in the pet grooming industry. Let me introduce you to our hostesses with the mostesses.
She is the socialite of skin and coat care, Ms. Michelle Knowles.
And the queen bee of all things oily, Ms. Melissa Conti-Diener. Brought to you by theoilygroomer.com. Are you searching for a new and more mindful way of grooming? Interested in understanding how to grow your grooming business with a more holistic and organic approach? Please contact Melissa Conti-Diener at theoilygroomer.com so that you can set up a meeting and bring balance and prosperity to your life. And allthingspaw.com. Intermediate and advanced courses in pet esthetician work, fear recovery, animal handling, and more. Get your learn on with All Things Paw. And by positiveed.com. Attend from anywhere in the world. Always pay the lowest price. 6 to 10 hours of innovative content and more. Education for every learning lifestyle. Never miss the class you need, and transcripts are provided for recordings. Say hello to Pet Professional Education Unleashed with positiveed.com.
Now, let's get this tea party started.
Alrighty then. Here we are. It's tea time again. Hello, Miss Melissa. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, besides melting here away in the blissfully hot desert climate that we live in.
Oh, you mean the sun? We live on the sun.
We live on the surface of the sun, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. My dogs got new toys yesterday, so we may have some background squeaky because Noni cannot stop with one of the squeaky toys. It's become an addiction.
I am not mad about it.
You will be by the end of this broadcast.
No, it's probably going to happen in stereo from over here as well. So no worries. So what do you have in your cup today, Miss Melissa?
Well, I have my Wake Up, Be Awesome repeat cup this morning.
I love that. I love that.
So I am sipping on some sweet jasmine tea. It is with a little honey in it, and it is actually cool. My cup has been in the freezer, and then I let the tea cool itself and then pour it in there because I'm sorry, but it's far too hot, and my hormones make me far too hot to withstand any warm beverages at this moment in time.
I feel that so hard.
What's in your cup this morning?
I'm also drinking a cool version. This is my little campy mug that I take camping. You know, never, because I don't go outside. And in it is, let me take it. This is the cool version of Clear Heart, my Clear Heart formula. And it is to clear arteries and strengthen the heart muscle and to basically just calm your blood pressure. And because, yeah,
you need to calm yourself.
Sweetheart. It's got ginkgo biloba, ashwagandha, hawthorn, cinnamon, and orange peel. So that's what I'm rocking today. Yeah. It tastes
I love that little
It tastes like a campfire too.
Yeah, I was like that little hint of citrus in there should make that really nice.
It's very tasty.
Very nice. Very
so
nice.
I bet you're wondering what our topic is.
Yes.
Bam.
Drama in the grooming industry and how to deal.
There's no drama in the grooming industry. That's ridiculous.
Never. No, I love when there's some drama, and I'll never say what the drama is, but you'll see it reflected in my posts on my
Yeah.
social media. So then everybody goes crazy and is to me
What
back.
happened? What
And I'm
happened?
like,
And you're all lurking, passive aggressive. Yeah, I get that.
who did it to you and why? What happened? Who said what? So yeah.
It's true. It's true. Well, I just think that it's important to talk about this simply because there is drama in the grooming industry. There are so many personalities, so many strong personalities, and so many people who are educated and have a little bit of learning or experience in the grooming world. And for some reason, sometimes it's just hard to communicate with other groomers. And we are working toward more and more towards learning how to communicate better, so that we can get our point across without everybody taking it so personally.
Well, I think that is that's a perfect point, because one of the things I talk to my students all the time is don't take everything so personally. And I think also, since we are a very, apparently Noni wants to be part of the show, if you can hear her.
She's got some beef.
Yes,
She
she
needs to-
does. She's causing drama behind me. Noni, shh, come here. You have to be quiet. So, one of the things I had to learn early on when I left my little shop and went to work for a much bigger corporation, and I had never done that before. One of the things that was a hard lesson for me was to not take things so personally and not be so attach so much emotion
Mhm.
to a lot of what goes on in the workplace.
Mhm.
And it was early lessons primarily for me about balance, about being balanced and understanding how to balance your emotions.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, I can agree with that. And sometimes, everybody knows that I'm not your ordinary girl. I'm a little bit neurodivergent myself, and sometimes I myself will blurt something out with the best of intentions, and it comes out 10 ways kind of wrong. And people will be like, "What did you mean? What you just said?" I'm like, "No, I don't even know where that sentence came from."
right.
That's not what I meant to say, and not what I meant by what I said.
Right.
So, I'm guilty of that, as well as taking things personally sometimes, because I'm human. We're all human, and we're doing our very best. All of us are. So when somebody disagrees with us, or even downright says something that's just mean, um, it's hard for us to make sense of it.
Right.
So all we can do is practice
Yeah.
and know that we want to push the industry forward. We're all working diligently to try and do that, and to inform and educate other groomers that are coming up. So that I
Even if
think
it's
that
opposing, on opposing sides of a discussion, doesn't necessarily have to be an argument. You
right,
can have a debate, and you can have a discussion, and you can agree to disagree
absolutely.
without turning it into something that has to become nasty.
Hmm.
Or I have colleagues that I respect
Hmm.
and that I love as human beings, but I don't agree with methodology, or we differ
Hmm.
on different just different thought processes on how we do things in this industry.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I have to dislike them.
Correct.
Sometimes I find myself having to love them even more, so that I can try to understand them and come to a place where I don't let my husband know this, but that I don't have to be right. It's not,
That
because
is a secret that you should take to your
I
grave.
know. Chuck, don't tell dad.
No doubt.
That we don't always have to be right. It doesn't have to be about being right or wrong. Sometimes it's just about saying, okay, I understand that's where you are in this debate or in this discussion. Here's
Mhm.
where I am, and respect each other enough to allow each other to grow in that, because a lot of times we either change or we flip the script, and next thing you know, we're like, oh, you know what, maybe that was actually not what I should have been, using that tool for, or acting this way about, because I was so staunch. It always makes me leery, when they always say the what is that saying, the loudest wheel gets the grease, or squeaky wheel
Mm,
gets the grease,
mhm,
so
mhm.
that squawking, sometimes that there's a lot to be said about that, for that particular person squawking is looking for some kind of an attention.
Mhm.
There's a lot to be said for going about your business quietly and independently, and understanding where you fit in.
I think some of it is also that we're in an industry of the majority of females, and
Yes.
a lot of us grew up in maybe not so stellar environments,
Right.
and we never felt like we were heard.
True.
So when you do find yourself in a discussion or a heated argument with someone, especially online, it feels like you're just not being heard. So you have to yell louder or you have to drown out the other person. Um, Not necessarily for me, but I know a lot of people are like that. And I think that's where learning how to debate, learning how to have a discussion is um, really important for all of us. I think that maybe that's another class that we'll have to come out with. Using the Oxford debate rules sometimes can be very freeing because when you take a debate class, those of you who've been through it understand what I'm saying. Not only are you asked to debate your topic, but you're asked then to switch and debate the other side of your topic that you don't believe in. Because when you research a topic, that you don't believe in. Let's just say for I'm going to throw it out there and you can yell at me if you want because I don't care. Let's say
Right.
shaving double coats. This is a really good one that gets argued about a lot. Shaving double coats. You shouldn't shave, or you should. It's not a problem to shave. So I'm in the camp that I'm not going to shave a double coat if I don't have to for medical reasons or for
Right.
the elderly. There has to be extenuating circumstance for me to maintain a shave down on a double coat. However, if I were debating my opponent that says, I don't think there's anything wrong with shaving down a double coat, and then you switch, researching reasons why it's okay to shave will teach you so much more about your topic.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
just because someone is saying something that you don't agree with, try to find the truth separately from the discussion. Try to find the truth in what they're saying because there might be nuances that you're missing by being so staunchly on one side of the topic. You
I think
know,
it makes it harder when you adhere to rigidity.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I really do. I was looking up this quote because it's something I tell myself often. It's
Hmm.
Bernard Meltzer,
Hmm.
and before you speak, ask yourself if what you're going to say is true, is kind, is necessary, is helpful. If the
Hmm.
answer is no, maybe what you are about to say should be left unsaid,
Hmm. Hmm.
because all those things, if the answer is no, a lot of times you're speaking out of pure emotion.
Right. Hmm.
You're speaking out of usually hurt, or the feeling of being unseen or unheard, and you're trying to jab someone else with
Hmm.
words. Like, have you ever heard people say, "Oh, that we were verbally sparring"?
Right. Hmm.
So if someone is so staunch and so set in that way, and they have made no indication that they are willing to do research or to examine your truths that you're trying to share, then you truly just have to step away from that, because that person's mind, you are not the person that's going to change their mind.
Hmm.
And you just have to say, okay, I respect where you're at right now, but that's not where I'm at. And so we have to respectfully agree to disagree,
Hmm.
and walk away. um
Yeah, there's a lot of different topics that get argued about on the like Facebook and Instagram and all those. Someone will post something
Oh
And
yeah.
inevitably, people will come out of the woodwork telling them 9 ways that that's wrong or they're stupid or this, that, and the other. I very rarely engage in those type of conversations unless the topic is really important to me and I feel like other people need to know about it. And
Right.
maybe a dozen people come out and engage in a negative way. However, sometimes if you can keep your cool, uh, it's better to go ahead and engage, even though people are being very negative, to get your information, to show people how to do
Oh,
it. So
absolutely.
all the other 50,000 people that are a member of that group, and that group or other groups, and you know what groups I'm talking about. I'm not going to say them by name. Uh, the other 50,000 are just lurking and wanting the information without having
All
to
right,
engage
come
and
on,
get.
Michelle. Don't make me be Beyonce. Say the name. Say the name.
No, I'm not gonna. Can't make me. Not gonna do it. You know who you are. But sometimes it's better to have that conversation so that the information is out there because maybe you don't quote unquote win the argument,
Right.
but you will put that information in front of 50,000 people who will listen to it and make
Well,
their own choice.
that's a huge part of that. When we engage in that drama online, the people that are engaging each other in conversation or in argument, uh,
Mm-hmm.
on a thread or in a group or whatever, those are just the people you're seeing that are expressing an opinion, but
Correct.
you're not seeing all the thousands of eyes
Mm-hmm.
that are reading all these comments and are just kind of sitting back like, and sometimes people will put that little, like, they'll just post a comment and say F for following.
Right, because they want to see it.
Right.
They're interested in the topic, or sometimes they want to be a lurker at the drama.
Yeah.
And if you have two people that have lost their way, that have lost their cool, and they're just arguing back and forth, then that's just an argument fest.
Right.
However, if one of the people can keep their cool and at least keep on track on topic and say,
Yeah.
no, that's not what I said. This is what I'm saying, blah, 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 and never hurl insults if you can possibly help it. If somebody tells you, you're full of BS, this, that, and the other, just say, you know what, I wish you the best.
Right.
Because we're talking about a topic. I'm not talking about anybody personally. We're talking about the subject. And
Right.
that's something that a lot of people who engage in this behavior don't understand. I'm Michelle and you're Melissa, and we're separate from the topic that we're talking about. So
Oh, yeah.
if we have a difference of opinion, I don't hate you. I may hate what you said, but I don't
Right.
hate you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, oh, well, I don't feel that particular way of what you just said, but let's talk about it. Let's find a common ground if we can, or a whole new topic offshoot from what we discovered by talking about the original topic.
Yeah.
So
I think that the drama itself ensues when people start to take comments very personally, or
right.
people start to hurl insults or make comments that are no longer based on any kind of a fact, or a comment that adds to the actual discussion, but are making comments just to hurt or undermine
Right.
the other person. It's like,
Yeah.
they say poking the bear. It's like just going over there and just poking the bear.
Let's see if I can piss this person off because
Yeah,
I want her to shut up.
Yeah, there's nothing constructive about it. There's nothing that you're lending to this discussion to be positive or to carry this on in a vein that's going to make us want to delve further into this topic. It actually takes the topic and puts it on the back burner, and now you have two people just arguing, or more than two people just arguing.
Right.
And that is usually when those hundreds of thousands of other people are sitting back like, this is interesting.
That got juicy real quick. That's crazy.
Exactly. So, and I usually look at it and go ugh. I get embarrassed for those people.
Yeah, I get embarrassed for them when they break the fourth wall, when they break the topic and just start
Yeah,
hurling insults. That's
yeah,
it makes me sad
yeah,
because that person or persons have valuable information to share, and instead of sharing that information because they feel like they're losing for whatever reason, that there's no loss. We're just
right,
discussing a topic, you know, and some people just don't know how to let people just be people. You know, there's never going to be 100% agreement with everything that you say or all the material that you put out. There's always going to be someone back there who's like, well, I don't do it that way, or I think that's wrong, or what, and that's fine. Fine. Sometimes you have to just talk to the people who know your language. Yeah, and hopefully the ones in the background who are lurking listen and get a little bit of learning from hearing your discussion. And that's really mostly what I'm after when I have those rare discussions in groups like that. Otherwise, I'll just throw in some information and
right.
see if it sticks, you know, see if anybody wants to talk about it. It's no big deal. So how do you deal? Let's say you've made a post of a before and after, or a post of something that you learned, and you're really proud of yourself, and you should be getting people going, you know what, great job.
Right.
For the first time, that looks absolutely incredible. You know, do you mind if I give you a critique? You know, that's how it should be. I think there's one called Roast My Groom. We absolutely make posts and then you tear them apart in the best way possible. And that's the only one that I know of that's welcome. However, if we expect to nurture the next generation of groomers, which are so
Yes.
desperately needed in this industry, you know, we are kind of flailing a little bit trying to get enough people to serve all these pets. If you're brand new, there's nothing more discouraging than having just, you know, 10 people just smash you down after
Mhm.
your one attempt at showing people what you did, you
Right.
know? And the sad part of it is maybe it isn't an up to par groom, quote unquote. So it's an effort. And every single one of us has a groom or a series of grooms at the very beginning of our career that no one
And
should have
some of
seen ever.
us towards the end of our actual group physical grooming career,
Yes, yes, yes.
you start to look at your stuff and go, I used to
Yeah.
do that so much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
It
I
used to
know
be,
for a fact that I am over, my peak of scissoring
yeah,
and doing everything nice. I can't see anymore. My
yep,
hand shakes. You know, I'm past my prime in doing crispy grooms. So now
yep.
I do serviceable grooms, and that is okay. Not everybody is gonna be Groom Team USA. No, not everybody achieves that nor wants it.
Right.
You
And
know,
that's what I was
there's
going
a
to say. Not everybody's goal is that.
mhm,
Long before I lost those crispy skills, I had started to shift my thought processes on
mhm.
what I actually wanted to get out of my grooming session. So, not everybody's going to like what you have to say, or not everybody's going to like you.
Right.
That was a hard one for me to swallow.
Mhm. That not everybody loved you?
Yeah, that not everybody likes me. And
Melissa, my love should be enough.
that's true. So you have loved me through many, 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 many years in this industry. So, but just the fact that some people, like I've literally had people say to me, "You're toxic positivity,"
Mhm, mhm.
and so I'm like, really? I find that interesting. But
I don't even what is toxic positive? You're
yeah,
so positive you make us feel bad?
yep.
What kind
That's
of
Yes, I literally had someone say, I don't follow you on social media. Another groomer had come up to me at one of the shows, had said, was doing, which always just makes me laugh when they do
Mhm,
the whole
mhm,
fangirl thing, because I'm like, it's me. I'm,
mhm,
I'm a mess. Do not
mhm,
think that I am this golden idol anywhere, because I
mhm.
am not.
Hmm.
And I'm
There's a reason you sage.
exactly. And so I'm just kind of like, talking to me about whatever class and that kind of stuff. And she was like, and this is my friend, we work together, but she doesn't follow you. And blah, blah,
Wow.
blah. Yeah, I know. And that's what I
Why do
said.
you need to know that?
Yeah. And I was like, I said, well, you don't have to. Everybody doesn't have to follow me. And she was like, well, I'm just not that kind of person. I don't like all that positivity. To me, you have your toxic positivity where you
Wow.
don't, yeah, you don't want people to see the darkness. And I was all, girlfriend, you do not even know the darkness that I have to walk through every day, but I
Yeah,
still light my candle.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Well, just
that's not
everyone's in a
toxic.
different place.
Right. And
Everyone
that's
is
what
in
I
a different
said.
place.
I
Yeah.
said, but if that's where you're at, and if what I'm saying is offensive to you and you find that toxic, by all means, you don't need to be in my circle right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when you do decide, or if you ever do decide you want to step into that light, there's always room.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but that's a bitter pill when you kind of feel like, or you think everybody likes you, and then you find out that that drama of uh backstabbing, or
Hmm.
talking behind your back, and then there's always that one person that that is always trying to be helpful, and they're like, just so you know, because I love you,
And then they
I
cut you on your face with a
Yep,
knife.
exactly. They literally, like in Alien, just like reach in and rip it out of your chest, and
Yep, yep, yep.
they're like, they tell you something that you probably could have gone the rest of your career or your life not even knowing, and
Right.
been happy, and there's something to say for ignorance is bliss.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if I know that kind of information, I usually don't share it
Right.
unless I really, really, really feel like it's going to be a detrimental thing. Like somebody is doing something that I know and I love, and they're going to invest in a business with someone that I know
Right.
is
If they need to
nefarious.
know it to make their life handleable and give them all the facts,
Right.
absolutely. But yeah, I don't just share mean stuff. I think
Yeah. Yeah. So,
it's just
and
mean.
sometimes I think people do it and then they sit back and they want to see what,
They want to see you break down. They want to
yeah,
see you break
they want
down.
to see what happens, or if you're going to confront that person, or whatever.
Hmm.
And I that to me is like, those are what my mama calls the pot stirrers.
Hmm. Hmm.
They step in, they say their piece, and then they walk away, and everybody else falls apart.
Hmm.
And so it's just there's a not to get preachy, but there's actually a Bible story that talks, a parable that talks about that how the devil comes in and whispers in one ear, and
Hmm.
how it just disseminates amongst the crowd of people
Hmm.
and just causes chaos.
Hmm.
And for
Hmm.
me, I'd rather just stay away from that chaos. You know,
Hmm.
and there are people out there that really live for that drama.
Hmm.
They are just all about it, and they say things like, I've worked with a girl that used to do this all the time. We worked in a large salon together with a lot of other groomers, and she would say something about somebody else to me, and she'd be like, whatever you do, don't tell so and so, but
Ew.
yes. And finally I had, because then every time I saw that person, I'm that kind of person. I'm the guilty, party.
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm looking at this person being like, oh my God, this person thinks this of you and thinks that, everything you do is horrible, whatever. But I couldn't bring myself to tell them. So finally I had to tell the other girl that was always saying that stuff, be like, no, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Hmm.
If
Yeah,
you
you
don't,
have to nip it in the bud. Keep that crap to yourself.
yeah, keep that to yourself. Don't start that drama, and be able
It's
to stand up.
poisoning the well, is what it is.
Yes, is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Once you poison the well, it only takes one person to poison
yep,
the well, but then the whole village drinks from it. And I think that if you're going to quote unquote poison the well, it should be something full of positivity instead of
yes,
negativity.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
don't know how being positive and being filled with light is toxic.
It can be if you're not ready for it. Like I said,
Yeah,
everybody's in a different place. I myself have tried to give uh, platitudes and advice and a loving gesture to a few people over the course of my life, and it just comes out wrong. And you know who you are as well, and you know that I love you, and we've already discussed it. Sometimes it just don't come out right. The words don't come out in the correct order, or they don't come. Know, it's just it happens. It happens, and if you're friends to begin with, then you can work through it. Um, If you weren't friends to begin with, then why are you in on that person's Facebook anyway,
Yeah.
or
Or in
Instagram or
their
whatever?
business, or
Yeah,
talking to
absolutely.
them in
But
general.
it's never meant with a meanness. I tend to operate from the foundation that no one knows who I am and no one likes me, so that when it does happen, when it does happen, and they're like, "Oh my God, we love you," I'm just like, "Really?" That keeps me safe.
And I wake up with this. Wake up, be awesome, repeat. Everybody loves me. Everything I do is wonderful. And why do they not like me? What could I possibly do? I mean, besides
Yeah.
being annoying, I even say that to my husband all the time. I'm always like, I'm annoying, aren't I? And he goes, sometimes.
But the most loving sometimes.
Yes.
That's perfect. I love it.
I think also that if you actually do have, which is a rare thing, you do have long lasting relationships, like long lasting friends in this industry. And I think that there's also different levels of friendship.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Michelle and I have been friends for a really long time. I've been friends with other people that is more of a surface kind of friendship, and they don't really know about my personal life and that kind of stuff, and vice versa. But just for an instance, Michelle and I actually just had lunch maybe a month ago with Kate Clayson, that we both are very good friends with. And I used to work with Kate, and I left, and I had to have a surgery, and I had to reevaluate my grooming career and everything. And I was very lost because I did not know who I was. I wasn't really teaching yet. And I didn't know who I was without that clipper in my hand.
Yeah.
I felt like my self-worth was attached to my actual standing behind that grooming table. And I really had deluded myself into believing that wholeheartedly. And I called Kate and I said, hey, I know I can't do big dogs anymore, and I know that I can still do cats, but only, I can't do cantankerous ones, because if I get bit and all that, but I need to come back. I need to groom. I need to. And Kate looked at me. She's like, let's get lunch and we'll talk. And I was like, okay, yeah. And if you know Kate is a straight shooter. If this was the Old West, she would be the sheriff. So,
well, she was the sheriff, sort of. So
exactly. So, we had lunch, and so I said to her, "So, have you thought about it? What kind of schedule? Blah blah." And you know me, I'm just diarrhea of the mouth. I'm just going. And Kate looks at me, and she just looks at me with complete and utter, just straight face, and she said, "I've thought about it, and no." And I was crushed.
Devastated.
Yeah. I was completely devastated. And I was so hurt. And she looked at me, and she obviously, because it took all of everything I had not to cry. And she looked at me and she said to me, honestly, you're going to be glad that I'm telling you no later. Right now, this feels rough, but she's like, I'm not going to let you. She's like, I love you and you're my friend, and I'm not going to let you go backwards.
Right. You had other destinies to fulfill rather than just going back and doing a couple of cats a day at her salon. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And I tell her that all the time. I'm always like, every time I do post my classes and do this and teach at a show and do all this stuff, I always say to her, if you would have said yes to me, I would have never been able to do any of these things, because I would have been tied to a schedule at the grooming salon, and I would not have been able to pretty much write my ticket.
Right.
And so that could have been drama between us. I could have been like, oh, I'm never speaking to her again.
Right.
All that. But I had to put aside my pride and where I was in that moment and think, what is she seeing that I don't see?
Well, not only that, she was a true friend to you in that moment.
Oh, absolutely.
She wasn't saying, no, it's not going to work out. I don't want you back. She wasn't saying that, although that's what she said. What she was saying was, you know what? You have so many other things going for you that I think you should pursue that instead of
Right.
come back here and be trapped and scared and afraid to do those other things.
Yes.
And look at you
Exactly.
now, lady.
Oh yeah. I mean, I honestly, I, I'm a true Taurus. I like stability. I like things to have my homeostasis. My
Hmm,
things
hmm,
the
hmm.
way they are, and so I don't take well to change. It takes me a long time to settle into change. So I tend to want to go back to the things that I know and that I
Right.
feel comfortable in. But she made me get uncomfortable
Hmm.
in order
Yeah.
to
Success
be
doesn't
better.
lie in comfort. It does lie
No.
in the discomfort for sure. If you're not scared when you launch a project, then you didn't do
Yeah.
it right.
Yeah.
You didn't do
And if
it right.
and honestly, if people are saying, "What the heck are you trying to do? What is
Yeah.
this?" Or so and so already does that, or so and so talked about that already, then
Mhm.
you know you're on the right path
Right.
because you're pissing people
Or
off.
this one. Oh, we already tried that and it didn't work. Well, it's because you didn't try
Yep.
it their way or the other
Right.
way or keep trying, you know. Sometimes you got to scuff up your knee before you stand, in this business. So,
Yeah. I mean, I was personally told about my energy work classes, about the massage classes. That has absolutely no place in the grooming industry.
mhm, mhm.
That
But
has
it
groomers,
does.
yeah, groomers
Sometimes
don't
you
want to
have
know
a
about
vision.
any of
Yeah.
that.
Honestly, Melissa, when I started doing skincare in, I'm going to say 2005 is when I started doing dedicated therapeutic skincare for dogs. Everybody thought I was an idiot. I have been called so many names, even by veterinarians, not just regular groomers who told me I didn't know what I was talking about until I started having before and afters that you could not refute. And then I started getting interest in that. And now I hear people say things I taught
Yeah.
decades ago coming right out of their mouth word for word, and I'm like, holy cow. You know what I mean? And skincare now is booming in the
Yeah.
industry. People are really starting to understand that how important it is, um, to what we
It,
do.
and if
So
you would have listened to them, if you would have fallen prey to that drama, of Michelle is doing that again, and there's Michelle over there trying to do this, or
mhm,
I know personally, I heard people say things like, oh, she wants to be a vet, or she's not a
mhm,
vet, and
mhm,
that should only be for veterinarians. I
mhm.
even heard groomers talk about the fact that we should not be that educated.
I've heard that too. I've heard
Yeah,
that too.
there's
We're
no
just washing dog butts. Stop reading books. What's wrong with you?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yep.
That there's no
Yep.
reason to be that educated. We don't need to be that educated. And I was like, what? And the best way to get me to do something is tell me not to.
Right. Tell
You
me I
can't
can't
do
do it.
that. Yep.
Or
Tell me
you're
I
not supposed to do that.
yes.
Like, oh, I'll figure out a way. I
Yep.
feel like skincare, therapeutic skincare absolutely fulfills an important function as a go-between between veterinary care and grooming.
Yeah. I
And I do
literally
believe,
just tagged you in that text where people were going back and forth in that one
mhm, mhm,
skincare group about
mhm,
using Murphy's oil soap on a dog to wash their dogs with.
mhm.
And people for it, groomers for it, and groomers against it, and groomers saying why. And so I just went to the Murphy's oil soap site, and it actually said on there, while our product is naturally derived, we do
Mhm.
not recommend it.
Mhm. Well,
For
a lot of things are like that, and a lot of things back in the day when there weren't 82 5,000 product companies.
products, yeah.
Back in the day, we had a small amount of things to work with, and we did go to those things. However, chemistry's come a long way, science has come a long way, and our knowledge of the skin processes has leaps and bounds. We now know everything there is to know about a dog's skin, basically, and on
Right.
a basic functional way of how it reacts to products that are on it. There's better. So am I gonna get a wrench to take out a splinter, or am
Right.
I gonna get a specialized tool?
Right.
Now our products, and I'm gonna say 99.99% of all grooming products in the grooming industry are good products. and they absolutely do work in certain circumstances in a category or in the order of operations of skincare.
Right.
They absolutely fulfill a function. Um, and I'm glad that we have so much variety. However, it
However, we also don't want to allow that drama into the discussion where we don't need to know about those kind of things. If I
exactly.
get, should I get this product or that product? That's where your education comes in.
Hmm. Yeah, if you are if you know about ingredients and how
Right.
decks are put together for products, you have a little bit better understanding about what's on the back of that bottle. Or when you turn the bottle around and there's no ingredients at all, or it's all proprietary, um, I'm going to choose not to use that because I believe in knowing what's going on my skin as well as the dog. Um, but I think
But
that
if you take to a group and say that, some
mhm.
people will roast you.
Oh, they'll light me up, absolutely, but,
Yeah.
I stick by my guns. I'm gonna
Right.
stick by what I said. I'll stand by what I said. Um, I'm not saying that this product is yucky and you should never use it. I'm saying that in certain circumstances, that product's not appropriate.
Right.
That's all. That's it. It doesn't mean that that product's bad. In another certain circumstances, for another dog or cat or bat or rat, whatever you're working on, that product's gonna be vital,
Oh,
and be important to your regimen
yep.
rather than the one that you used before. So educating yourself is probably the best way to get a handle on all these millions of products that we have that are shoved in our face. Now, marketing is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
The words that they put together, the colors they put on the package, how they market it, how they tell you how to use it, the music they use in their commercials, all those things lead you to buy their product. I'm not mad about it. I got products. I'm trying to sell them too. It's not an issue. However, I do have an issue with things that are marketed incorrectly. I have an issue with things that are marketed and don't do what they say they're going to do, or that don't reveal what they are so that you can make a better decision for a substance to be on your skin all day, 8
Yeah,
or 10 or
it's
12 times a day. Yeah.
something that can be actually detrimental to you and the animals, and they're
Yeah.
not revealing that.
And a lot of times it's not detrimental to the animal because the animal comes in 4 to 8 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, but
Right.
you're there every day
Every
with your
day.
hands in it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important. I think it should be marketed as a human product and have the same regulations as a human cosmetic product, simply because we are touching it
Right.
every day, all day.
Yeah.
And I think
Depending
that's
on the
important.
dog you're working on, you might be eating it too.
Yeah, no doubt. Or in your eyes,
In your
right in your
eyes.
mucous membranes. Right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and
It's
people are always going to argue about that. I've been
right.
washing this dog in this substance for 30 years and I've never had a problem. I've been shaving double coated dogs for 30 years and they've always grown back fine. Number one, I'd like to see pictures of all your grown back fine dogs. I'd like to see that. And if you've been using that particular product, I want to feel the finishes on your dogs. A lot of people in this industry, and this is what really freaked me out at first when I started doing therapeutic grooming, is that the majority of us do not know what a healthy coat feels like or looks like or acts like. And that's kind of scary because that's what we do for a living. Now, we see a lot of show dogs because, they're on the TV a lot, right? You tune into Westminster, you go to the dog shows, you see all these coats that just look all beautiful, but you don't understand that half of them are full of chalk, texturizers, hairspray, this, that, and the other. So even show dogs, who are the majority of them are very healthy, genetically sound, tested, all the things. When they get all that stuff washed out of their coat and they're correctly conditioned afterwards, that hair is probably healthy. That's a healthy coat. But not everybody gets to feel those textures. Not everybody understands what that looks like. Nobody understands that you shouldn't use white coat shampoo on a white coat just because it's white coat. A white coat that has a stain needs a white coat shampoo. Otherwise, it's just dirty. Just wash it and it will be white again.
Right.
White should be a prism in the sun. It should have reflection and beauty, not be a dead grass white color like flat
Well,
paint.
people don't understand also that the overuse of those whitening shampoos will turn the coat yellow.
Exactly. Or blue or
Blue, yeah,
whatever.
it'll
Yeah,
get
whatever
that
it is that's up.
grayish hue, right?
Exactly.
Depending on how dry and porous that coat is, that color is
Correct.
going to get absorbed in there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's again, it's on a need to use basis.
Correct. Yeah.
So when you look at that kind of stuff, so it's important to be educated about it.
Mm.
I about I got so excited the other day at work. One of my students, Olivia, was talking to a client about they wanted their lab shaved, and she was giving them the spiel about why we should not shave a double coated breed, blah, blah, blah. And I about peed my pants. I got so excited when she said, well, we don't want to damage the biome. And I was all, yes.
That's so sexy. Say it again.
I'm like standing there to the side, because I'm there lurking, listening to how she's talking to the client. And I'm like, I hear her say it. And I was just like, I'm like, she said biome. She said biome. Everybody's like, what? She said, what? I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
so then she got the dog and she's like, I talked him out of shaving it. And I'm like, I know it. And you said biome. I love you.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's
But
really, really
but
awesome.
that's what we need. We
Mhm.
need that in our instead of roasting these young groomers, these new groomers to the industry, instead of that, let's start to educate them. There are so many of us that have been in this industry for so long, and we're so ready to jump into the drama
Yes.
instead of jumping in and really wanting to help them and really wanting to make them better. I read a quote the other day that, and it may not be true for everyone, but it kind of touched a chord with me, as I have two daughters of my own, that said, your mother is the only other woman that will want you to always be better than she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, that hit my heartstring.
Mm-hmm.
That almost got a tear, like the refrigerator commercials
That
do
may
every
be
once in a
true
while.
a little bit, but there's plenty of ladies that I'm their number one cheerleader, and I hope they
Yeah.
go so far. I hope they take everything that they learned from me and make it better. Make
Well,
it better.
that's my
Yeah.
point, is that it shouldn't only be your mother,
Yeah.
but that kind of touched my heart that way. But it also touched me in the sense that a lot of the students, a lot of the people I work with, they say to me like, oh, you're like the mom around here. Because I'll walk up and I'll be like, this coat needs this, or did you do this, and it's just such an open atmosphere that everybody is okay with it, and I'm not being a Miss Nosy body and being in their business.
Right.
But we have other groomers that do the same, that are senior groomers, that will say, oh, you're working on this curly coat, you should follow this kind of regimen or use this shampoo. That to me just melts my heart, because that's
Mm-hmm.
just helping someone that's next to you get better, be better,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
instead of being like, Susie doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
Well,
She's
not
a
now,
crap
but she
groomer.
will.
Right. Or did you see the
And
light
she'll
color
remember all the bad things you said about her.
about her? Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I actually had somebody one time come up to me at a show and ask me, and it was a pretty well-known name in the industry, ask why someone that she trained was not acknowledging her as, like saying, I'm a protege of blah blah blah
Mm-hmm.
and blah blah blah. And I said, a lot of times it's tough, because they don't want to, they're trying to come out of a shadow,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they train, or they learn from someone who has already established a stellar reputation and a known name, and now they're trying to step out on their own. And so it's not really that they're trying to cause drama and not acknowledge who their teacher was, but they're trying to step out on their own and saying, this is my work.
Mm-hmm.
And establish their own reputation.
What I think is fun is that depending on who mentored you, you can always see their work in your work.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Like, I know that top knot was taught to you by such and such, because that's how they do. I see it.
Yeah.
So That's
And
always
that's
fun sometimes.
yep, and that's a nice way for us to actually, because usually when it's drama, it's usually about ego.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah.
So it's a nice way to just kind of check your ego a little bit
Mhm.
and be like,
They
you
either
know
want to
what?
tear you down because they don't believe what you're saying, or
Right.
what you're saying is truthful and they feel like, oh my gosh, I've been doing things wrong. So if I shut this person down, no one will see my mistakes. Instead
Exactly.
of just saying, oh, I did not know that.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't until 7 years ago, because I don't show dogs. I didn't come from the dog show world. I know a lot of people who show dogs, but I don't know the language. I don't know the training. I don't know what they go through. All I see is what I see on Westminster or at the local
Right.
dog shows. That's all. I have specialized so hard in skincare that there's a lot of pieces of this industry that I'm not schooled on. I only knew what a stacking box was like 7 years ago. That's when I learned it, very late in my career. And I'm okay with that. I don't show dogs. How would I know that unless somebody showed it to me? And I'm like,
Right.
oh,
Well, we don't use stacking
what's that
boxes in
box?
grooming, right?
Yeah. Like, how would you know that? And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't know that. I'm like, well, how? How would I know that? I'm not in the show world. And I don't feel bad for not knowing it, but it's nice to know those new things so that you can better have a better rapport with that show groomer or a person who does know in that world. So there's plenty to learn. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how long you've been in it. There's always those little nuances to learn.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I'm
take this
I'm
as an
human just
opportunity.
like everybody else. I don't have an encyclopedia in my head.
Don't
Just
believe
just
her.
just what
Do
I've
not
read.
believe. Do
I've
not
read a
believe her.
I've read
You
a
have
couple
a
books.
pneumatic memory. What is it called? Because I don't
Eidetic.
have it. What is
Eidetic.
it? Eidetic.
Eidetic. Yeah.
Yes, eidetic memory. I
Mhm.
think that because you read things and then you will like you can just quote stuff, especially if it's on a topic that it lights your fire.
Yeah, if I know about it, I could talk about it. Believe
Yeah.
me, I don't know how to make a stacking box, but I know about them.
No.
So, there's always something to learn. There's
I don't.
always something to learn.
I don't care to make anything that would break my fingernails. So,
Right, 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 right. Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
we
can't
have
have it. Can't have
to,
it.
I have to keep things realistic here for me. So, I can
Uh,
handle power tools and stuff, but I'd much rather a cute handyman in a tool belt come and help.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Freshly chopped wood smell on clean sweat. Bring it, bring
Yes.
it, bring
I'm
it.
all for it. I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's nice.
But we digress onto
But that's okay.
that would definitely bring drama into my life if there was some cute handyman here and my husband decided to be like, what the hell is going on?
I just have to put a tool belt on my band and I'm good to go.
I was gonna say you have a super handy man. Well, I absolutely love and adore my husband. I get very nervous when he is around power tools. He
Oh,
is a more of an intellectual than he is a Mr. Fix It.
yeah.
So he just was never trained like that. I can do stuff. I honestly, when our garbage disposal broke, I fixed it. My dad taught me how to do it. My dad was a Mr.
Mm.
Fix It kind of guy. So, but yeah, no, I would have to say that the sexiest I think my husband ever is when I see him running the vacuum or mopping or doing the dishes,
I don't
Those are
know. If
like,
it wasn't for my husband, I'd probably be living in a tent somewhere.
yeah.
I can't. I'm like the dreamer, and he builds my foundation so that I can continue to dream. And I really do adore and
we
appreciate
wouldn't
all the things that he does for me. He's amazing.
we wouldn't be able to find you in your tent, Michelle. If you had a tent with your things, you'd
Oh
just
my
be in
gosh.
a tent with little
Talk
boxes,
about talk
boxes.
about some old witch that lives in the woods with potions. That would totally be me. But the whole house would be breaking down because I wouldn't pay attention. The rain would come in, and I just put a potted plant under it. Like it would just be over for me. You hear me?
I have to agree with you. I think that both of us have husbands that add great stability to our chaotic genius at times.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is a definite. So
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on the hour, and do you have any last thoughts for people who are moved to say things mean, or people who have been said mean things to in a grooming group or in a social setting?
just don't take things so personally. Really, even if it is personally aimed at you, a lot of times my best advice to myself is it's really not about me, it's about them. There's something lacking or some misunderstanding with them or where they are in that moment in time, and that is their best defense,
Yeah, I think
is for
for
them to
Melissa,
become.
for your case in particular, sometimes you are so beautifully backlit and lit just from your personality. You are one of the sweetest, nicest people I have ever met in my life. And sometimes when people are in a dark place, they see that light and they just want to stab it. They just want to make it go away. They want to cover it with a black cloth because they're not prepared for that amount of beauty and light in their life yet. And I've seen that. I've seen that in real time.
Why I'm
Uh,
friends with her.
I have seen it in real time, and it astonishes me. Sometimes my jaw hits the floor, and I don't even have words. I'm like, I just saw that happen to you, and she's like, yeah, it's true, and I concur, Melissa. I think that a lot of times you just have to let it. It's like water off a duck's back for
Yeah,
real. Let it go, because that person has to live with them for the rest of their life.
right.
You don't have to. They don't have to. Don't give them free rent in your head.
No,
Uh,
and that's a perfect example, is do not give them free rent in your head, because
mhm,
their words really have no bearing. They
mhm.
really truly don't. And if they do have bearing and it really hits you in a sense where they've shaken your foundation and you really know what your foundation is, then you need to do some self-examination. But
Exactly, exactly.
but
Yeah,
I mean,
always re-examine.
overall,
There's nothing wrong with re-examining,
no,
the thought or the thing or the topic
right.
that triggered that other person. But if you explore it and say, "You know
But
what? No, I think I'm right. I think I'm
I
still
think
gonna
I'm
go with this
okay.
way. I like it
Yeah.
better." That's fine.
But I remember when we were at that show and I moved that lady's bag for just a moment on the back of a chair, and
It
she
was
about
unreal. Unreal.
ripped me a new one, and I just kind of stood there and I was like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
But I'm gonna use
But
this chair now.
yeah, I'm gonna stay here. So okay,
Yep.
and it just, I could have been like, oh God, I don't no, sorry.
Mhm.
If you can't take all this light, sorry, you better get some sunscreen, because that's what I'm all
For
about.
sure, for sure. Sometimes when I visit with Melissa for too long, I go home and people are like, "One side of your face is, like, really darker than the other," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's with Melissa. She sat over here." For real. Well, we're all a work in progress, we're all human,
Yes,
and if we can forgive ourselves for our mistakes,
yes.
then let's learn how to forgive others for their foibles as well.
And with that, let's do our little outro.
All right, we put another one in the can. May your next sip be just as delicious as your last. Thank you all for visiting, and we will see you and hear you next time.
Bye, everybody.